Testing. Everybody, welcome back to the Bible Show. Today we're discussing soul fusion theory. So, soul fusion theory is sort of the latest thing I've been giving my attention to. And from my current observation, I think it's pretty much spot on. So, some premises to lay down. We have righteous eye, hybrids, and the devil's eye. Sort of the three slants of souls in terms of character from that's one way to put it. And the origination from this is sort of the curse of God. The curse of God as well as the corruption of Satan. So the seed of the woman versus the seed of Satan. And we have the righteous line of Seth versus the evil line of Cain. And then you have another development in the story, which is when the righteous line of Seth had children with the evil mated with the evil line of Cain, producing the Nephilim, or hybrids. And so that's where we sort of are right now. And we mentioned in soul eugenics, I guess there's more premises laid down. That's usually a righteous eye and a hybrid and a devil's eye produces a hybrid, the Nephilim. And some people think of Nephilim as like giants. I used to think they were giants too. But it makes more sense with the context and some of the context of like just the commentary of what I read, that it's sort of the righteous line of Cain mating with the righteous line of Seth mating with the evil line of Cain, because that shouldn't be happen, and the result is something that makes sense. Nephilim are powerful people of renown, powerful people of renown. And what makes hybrids powerful is that they have the intelligence, righteous, to some degree, as well as the selfishness, as well as the evil or selfishness of the seed of the serpents. So it makes them pretty capable. I mean, when you put it like this, it seems like they don't have it all powerful in their own regards. And so I think we discussed earlier that, so righteous eye, so R, to save some time, R equals righteous, H equals hybrid, and D equals devil's eye. Devil. So we have our righteous plus hybrids usually produce righteous eye, devil's eye plus hybrid usually produce devil's eye, maybe a hybrid or a righteous eye. I don't know how the latter happens. I don't know too much about how that works at the moment. But usually a devil's eye, a hybrid. And RR usually equals R, and D equals D usually equals D. And what came about my latest development for soul fusion theory is sort of there's this couple out there. So Righteous Eye plus a Devil's Eye. And actually, I could be looking too much into this. But usually supposed to produce a hybrid, usually. But they produce the Righteous Eye and Righteous Eye and another Righteous Eye, to my knowledge, um, which was surprising to me, because then it doesn't make sense with the usual equation. And so there's actually one way I have to explain for that, which is soul fusion theory. But besides that, so what I think happens is that we have, or I'm gonna use the DNA model, the allele model. So we have righteous, which is RR, which combines with RR, righteousness, and that should produce righteousness because it's RR. And then we have RR plus DD, the righteous side with the devil's eye user, that should produce RD, I'm pretty sure, in terms of alleles. And we have RR with RD, and on average that should produce a righteous eye user. And maybe a righteous eye user and maybe a hybrid, like a 25% chance for a hybrid. And then we have DD plus RD, and that should produce a devil's eye user, but maybe a 25% chance for a hybrid. Something strange that I also saw recently, I'm going to go on straight away for the main point for a bit, is that two devil's eye users producing a devil's eye and a hybrid. No, and righteous eye. So, judging by like how the alleles combine together, this shouldn't happen. The righteous side shouldn't appear. Maybe I'm not sure if God had a hand in this, but maybe I typed those people wrong. Probably, probably one of them. I know one of them for sure is a devil's eye user. The other one. Maybe the other one. Okay, so maybe the other person's a hybrid. But still, that doesn't make sense. This shouldn't produce. It shouldn't produce what it produces. Or maybe I typed that person wrong. Maybe this is correct. Maybe that person's a hybrid. But it seems like there's some variations in soul eugenics. But to the main point, this might go into the what I call the awakened eye and all that. Well, awakened eye is something different, but this might go into strength of character and all that stuff. So the current theory that I have with soul fusion theory, if the allele model is incorrect, is that the stronger soul overcomes. So I think not a lot of people understand how sort of strength in soul appears. With righteous side users, it sort of comes naturally being strong, having strong character, being like a strong person. Hybrids are usually are strong as well. Devil's eye users, they're pretty weak. They're weak people, but it's sort of the order, the chain of custody for strength, and So the current theory is with soul fusion theory is that it's basically if there's a righteous eye user and there's a devil's eye user, or even if there's a righteous eye user, devil's eye user, which should be produced according to the allele model is hybrids. So the cell eugenics allele model. So allele model says hybrids. But with cell fusion theory, it seems like the stronger soul overcomes. And in this case, the righteous eye user was a stronger soul. And it produced two righteous eye users. So this is a very interesting development. If this is really the case, it seems like strong people can overcome the devil gene, which is pretty good. Which sounds pretty cool for righteous eye users. That sounds pretty cool. That is their euphoria, having a role with all righteous eye users. And it sort of reminds me of like this scene from Avatar in the final battle with Fire Lord Ozai when Aang's trying to take away Ozai's bending. It's sort of they're having a battle between souls to see which soul can overcome the other. And it seems like Ozai's pretty strong, so it seems like his soul is gonna overcome, but he's not a righteous eye user. So it seems like at the end, spoiler alert, when Ozai's soul is about to overcome Aang's, right at the last sliver, like at Aang's eye, Aang sort of changes the turn of the tides, changes the course of the soul battle, and he completely overtakes Ozai's soul, and which makes sense. He's a righteous eye user, and he basically takes away Ozai's bending. So that says something at all, which I think it does. To this point, I'm not too sure. It seems like the stronger soul can take away the double gene. Or also vice versa. Or the double gene or the righteous eye. But usually the soul that is a stronger soul is the righteous eye user. Because they have the intelligence as well as the natural strength to overcome. And so this really produces a lot of satisfying answers if this is the case. From current observations, it seems like this is the case, that the stronger soul overcomes. So allele model is sort of kind of out. Seems like it's out though, and seems like maybe it's on its way out. But it produces a lot of satisfying answers because we have a lot of questions that a lot of Christians could ask, like why does God allow evil? Well, a satisfying answer that we have now is that evil strengthens the soul, and with the stronger soul, you can overcome, as a righteous eye user, you can overcome hybrids and the devil's eye. And just generationally, as God allows evil, the righteous eye, I wouldn't say got stronger because the strength of one generation sort of disappears when they pass on. But it seems like in the span of a current generation, their strength through which is increased with evil, which is tested against evil, sort of allows the righteous side to sort of fend off, not just fend off, to really cleanse some of the devil's eye and hybrids. And this sort of goes into the verse how Jesus in 1st or 2nd Corinthians, when Paul mentioned that the believing spouse cleanses the unbelieving spouse. But so that quote sort of, I think people could say, maybe it's talking about the strength of the blood of Christ, like just being a believer. Well, that's me putting my bias on it. But I think people, of course, take that verse how it is, as in a believer cleanses their spouse. But spiritually speaking, we take that literally, and that's within context. We can take that verse as it is because that's in context. It's not taken out of context. Just that the way it's written sort of hints at sort of the power of righteousness, of course, and strength of soul is something very interesting. Things that develop strength of soul. The greatest thing, knowledge is one of the greatest things. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Trauma, pain, endurance, long suffering, all usual traits of righteous side users, and all traits of a man of God, a man of the seed of a woman. And this is very interesting development. And I guess maybe we're at the point of practical advice. But the stronger your soul is, the more you will overcome. Not just the trauma. It seems like you'll be able to cleanse the double gene in terms of having children. And I have enough information to say this with confidence, but not enough information to say this with complete certainty. But I very much assume this is the case because just especially like something with that scene with Aang and Fire Lord Ozai, something about that seems like it trumps the allele model in terms of how souls combine. I think something about that trumps. I think another testament to the strength of righteousness is when Jesus returns. Like there's the final war in Revelation, and the army of evil is just easily wiped out. I was taught this. I was really this verse really got into my head by someone that helped me with my Bible studies. So may God bless them for their help with my Bible studies. It's sort of like Gog and Magog came to war, and then they just all destroyed, like blown away in an instant. It wasn't even a fight. It was like it was a very anticlimactic compared to all the evil that's happened in the world. They were just destroyed instantly, and I guess it goes to show the power of righteousness, like true righteousness. So I guess we're really at the practicality of this. So as a strong soul, I don't have an official name for this. As a stronger soul, especially like a righteous side user, or maybe someone's been through a lot. Sort of So you can afford to be less careful with who you choose as a spouse, because you can easily wipe out their gene influence, their soul gene influence, their soul influence, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty cool for as just it was pretty cool as a theory, um, and how it comes out plays out in practice. So, like whether you're with a hybrid or a devil's eye, the stronger righteous eye user, the stronger soul, which is usually a righteous eye user, should wipe out the gene, and the kids should be righteous eye users. And if you're really strong hybrid, like strong hybrids, like maybe the woman is the stronger one in the relationship, you're a really strong hybrid that should overcome the other soul, and the kids produced should be hybrids, even if you're hybrid and hybrid plus hybrid. I think with the older model with hybrid plus hybrid, that should produce more hybrids. Do hybrids usually get, yeah, a lot of hybrid. I haven't seen a lot of hybrids together. I should take that back. I've seen some hybrids together. With children alive, I've seen like a righteous eye, if I'm not mistaken. Besides this hard example, for me at least, this hard difficult example, like a strong devil's eye user, even if they have a righteous mate with a righteous eye user, which should be produced as hybrid, they're, according to soul fusion theory, seems like the strength of their soul, which I rarely see any strong devil's eye user, should wipe out the righteous eye gene and produce devil's eye children. So with this example, I'm trying to think of something concrete that I saw with this example. I don't have anything too concrete for this, but something that really surprised me was now maybe this is a high. Yeah, that's interesting, but I think it's probably someone with more more like, I guess maybe the word is empirical evidence, and this for me, someone can really maybe there I could find like a way to get more evidence for this, but my current observation, it seems like this is pretty much the case, and that's very interesting. It definitely all adds up in terms of just why God allows evil. Strength, endurance allows the soul really cleanse evil, which is pretty nice. And I always say nice here with a grain of salt, because nice varies depending on what soul slant you are. Like a nice world for devil's eye users is different for a nice world for righteous eye users. And so, I guess a recap of practical advice for this: be strong, and you can overcome lots. You can basically be strong. Actually, even more part, be strong. You can have your preferable choice of children. I think it's pretty much the case. And if you're weak, be careful. Be careful who you mate with. if you're like a person that's really picky about your kids, like you want your kids to like you, or you want to get along with your kids, be careful of your choice, and maybe if you're with the devil's eye user, that gene might overcome if that person has a stronger soul, and they might just have a lot of problems when your kids grow up. And judging, and as well as that, I guess more practical advice with soul fusion theory is there's hope. There's hope. There's hope in pain and suffering. There's hope in pain and suffering. It seems like it's worth it. Well, for a guy, it's always worth it. But even as a woman, it's worth it with your offspring. Your offspring can be just like you. And that's basically all the practical advice with soul fusion theory, I guess. Maybe probably a different topic is judging the strength of people's souls and how that sort of plays out. But I think if you look into someone's eyes, you can generally tell the strength of their soul. I guess that's the last practical advice. Eyes always tell. Eyes always tell. But sometimes, not everyone can perceive certain things. Some things are hidden because of a lack of knowledge, also known as ignorance, a veil of ignorance, a veil of ignorance. I wonder what that looks like metaphysically. That sounds pretty cool. Anyways, that is soul fusion theory, and hope you enjoyed this video. I hope something practical you can take away with, and if it's something you need to test or need to observe or do more studies with, please do to help further develop this theory. And then I think this can probably pop up in mainstream society probably through a TV show, probably through a popular TV show. I think this theme can play out, but not like mainstream science, but like in TV shows. That's gonna be played out, and I think people are gonna enjoy the story, and people will find it satisfying. People would find this to be a story with lots of discovery. And that is soul fusion theory.